we're on to our last speech. Isn't that awesome? So we're going to welcome Stuart again, and he's actually not only a professional coach, but he's actually a professional coach known as the one thing guy. And I think it's a very appropriate topic to kind of send us off with. So I welcome to Stuart.
That's my brother. What's actually quite funny about this particular picture, I said to my wife, I need to get a waistcoat. I love waistcoats, by the way. And unfortunately, in the wintertime, I've got to put a jacket on. And I've been going literally Cape Town, PE, Durban, around all the shops, trying to find the right waistcoat. And this particular picture is actually AI generated. That's why I say it's my brother. And I said to ChatGPT, ironic, I did a little bit earlier, I said to it, I want to create, and it's at Sora. I said, here's my picture, but I want the shirt, and the shirt is actually I own, the pants I own, the belt I own, but give me a blue waistcoat. And yeah, there's the blue waistcoat that now I know what it looks like. And that's now actually my one thing that I'm going to be going forward. So it's an honor to end this particular session with something that is extremely, extremely passionate to me. Something that started back in 2020. I got exposed to the book, The One Thing. And through this journey, it's opened up so many doors for me. I've been able to not only have the opportunity to touch all of your lives with words, but been able to do it around the world. And what I want to share with you today is really what I typically do in a full day session. I'm going to do it in 20 minutes. It's really what I'm going to call the actual Pareto's extreme principle of the one thing, really breaking it down. And we call it, as you can see there, gaining clarity for your future. As a coach, when I'm working with people, one of the biggest challenges that we face is actually, as a coach, trying to understand what your goal is. Because it starts today as, this is my goal, I want a red Ferrari. A week later, I say, fantastic, so what actions did you take for the red Ferrari? Oh, actually, no, we're looking at that house in Hermanus. And then a week later, it's like, oh, well, actually, no, we're actually thinking of taking the family to Disneyland. Every week, our goal seems to change. So what we lose? We're actually losing the clarity of where we're going. And that's what I want to share with you today. So I want you to really internalize this statement. Imagine if you could achieve more by doing less. Who would love to do that? Everyone. And yet, when we look at time, there's only 24 hours in a day. How is it that certain individuals can achieve more? Certain individuals can actually do more. Yet, we still have those 24 hours. We sit there looking at our time and thinking, oh, I've run out of time, yet they've already done it. And really, the whole principle behind the one thing is gaining clarity on your focus. So when you wake up every morning, you don't have what we refer to as the pinky in the brain type of scenario. Hey, brain, what are we going to do today? We're going to take over the world. No, you're going to wake up and you're going to know exactly what you want to do today. Because by knowing that and having that clarity, just taking that one step forward, it's actually getting you closer to your goal. But if you don't know what your goal is, what are you moving forward towards? You're just moving towards what we refer to in the coaching as a distraction. Some people like to call it a dream. We all have them. I like to make them realities. So within the one thing, we use this focusing question. And this focusing question has actually become, in my household, if we're going to be looking and saying, well, what are we going to do for dinner? Or where do we want to go on a holiday? Or what do we want to do? I sit there and I go, all right, so what's the one thing that we can do today to make sure that we go on our holiday this weekend? And my wife will look at me and go, not again. Yet this particular question She now, when I go into the actual kitchen, and she's going, all right, for dinner, so what's the one thing that I need to get tonight so that we, and I look and I go, yeah, you see, this focusing question starts to come up everywhere. So let me explain it to you. What's the one thing? It's not the 2 things, 3 things, 4 things. All right, that would have really kind of messed up the title of the book, the one thing. What's the one thing I can do? All right, it's not something that, well, I should do or maybe I could do. It's something that I can do. It's within your capabilities. Such that by doing it means that we're actually going to put it into action. There's got to be some form of verb that's involved. We're going to be doing it. Such that by doing it, everything else, and this is the part that we all love, it's easier or unnecessary. When you start really breaking down this particular question and using it in your life, and we use it in coaching on a daily basis with my clients, we actually start to identify the lead domino. That is that first little action that you can take every single day. But more importantly, it starts putting you on this track to achieving those extraordinary results. And this is where you can actually start to achieve more by doing less. The less is the 20%. And that's ultimately what we're wanting to do. So there's some practical steps to actually gaining clarity. Step number 1, well, it's pretty obvious. You need to identify that one thing. And we use that focusing question. That focusing question, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or necessary? And we ask ourselves that question just so we can understand that activity. So let's have a look in real estate. You want to get a listing. What's the one thing that I could do today to get a listing? And you could think, well, I could phone a client. Well, what's the one thing I can do to phone a client? Well, I can get a telephone number. Well, what's the one thing I could do to get a telephone number? Well, I could actually ask somebody. Well, what's the one thing I could do to ask somebody? Well, let me go and cold call someone in the area. What's the one thing I can do to cold call someone in the area? Phone Gavin to help you with cold calling. Going through this particular question starts breaking it down to smaller and smaller and smaller until you find that one activity. And once you've identified that one activity, well, then you move on to part number 2. And part number 2 is actually blocking time for it. It's actually saying, you know what, I want to put this into my particular calendar and I want to do this every single day. Doesn't that sound boring? But think of the outcome. If you're just taking one step closer to that goal, not dream, that reality, every single day, one step closer, guess what? One day, you actually achieve it. So now you've identified that one thing. You've now said, I want to do this every day at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whichever is specific to yourself. Which means when you wake up in the morning, you know at 9 o'clock, this is the activity that you're actually going to do. And then you go into part 3. You say no to the less important things. It's one of these things that I've found for so many of my clients and the executives that I coach, I teach them to say no. How many times have you had this? You're sitting in the office, it's 10 o'clock, you've got lots of work to do. You're busy looking for new listings. The phone call comes in, it's a buyer. I see you have this particular listing. We are extremely interested in this particular listing. I want to see it now. What do? You drop everything, you get in your car, you drive there, you show them the property, they go, oh, it's actually not what I thought. Those bedrooms look a little bit small on the picture. Do you have anything else? 20 listings later, you've now taken them on a full tour of your entire suburb, taken all your petrol, 5 cups of coffee, you're out of pocket, and then when you make that final phone call, what do they say? Oh, we put it on offer with another agent. You see, if you just learn to say no and actually put it into a schedule, you would have actually saved it. Now, I know most of you are sitting there going, but I don't want to lose that particular buyer. Well, what's so important is you need to start booking that appointment with yourself so that you can say no. If you've set yourself a schedule at 9 o'clock in the morning, I want to make this particular call, or I want to do this particular activity, and someone phones you and says, hey, can we go out and see this property? Well, it's very easy for you to say, actually, I've got an appointment at the moment. Could we make it 11 o'clock? And you can then start to reschedule. Why? Because your priority, your one thing that you want to focus on, because it's going to start getting you closer to your goals, you're not taking it off the plate. I can tell you, every single top performing agent that I've dealt with across the world, when I say to them, can you reschedule that particular lead generating activity? And the response that I typically, I get is, are you telling me to cancel this coaching? Because this is definitely something that I will never do. The importance of it is that is their lead domino as they're going forward. So when you want to start gaining clarity for your future, I want you to take this particular statement. If you had only 1 hour a day, that's all you're allowed, 1 hour a day, to grow your career or your life, what would you focus on? You only got 1 hour a day that is most important to you, whether it's your family, whether it's in your business, which is your career. What would you be doing in that 1 hour? It's a question that I've asked, I'm going to say about 200 agents, and for most of them, they can't answer it. They're not too sure what the music is in the background. They're not too sure if we should start dancing. But when it stops, then we can stop dancing. She's looking for the off button, by the way, but that's fine. So, when I asked about 200 agents, what would you do? If you only had 1 hour, instead of working your typical 16 to 18 hours, which sounds like most real estate agents these days, if you only worked 1 hour a day, what would you do to ensure that you would actually achieve that career life that you want? And I can tell you now, and I want you to take this question home with you, when you go through this particular exercise of just answering that question, and then taking that particular question and putting it into your calendar and giving it a time, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, whatever that time may be, and protecting it, learning how to say no. And just doing that every single day, you're going to start seeing how things will start changing in your life. So the big question is, only 1 hour, what can you actually do? You see, when you take this, when you can have clarity, it will start to equal focus, and that will start to equal extraordinary results, which I know every single one of you can do it. There is nothing different between you and a top performing agent. I can tell you that now. I've dealt with agents that do 100 property sales by themselves, solo agents, every single year. By themselves, sells 100 properties a year. And they've done that consistently for the last 6 years. And when I speak to them, guess what? They're a human being. They actually live a normal life. They've got 2 kids. They actually are doing things pretty much exactly the same as yourself. But there's one area that's so different. When I ask them, what is that 1 hour of your day that you will never give up? They've got pure clarity behind that. And that's what I want you to actually walk away today with, is to know just 1 hour. That's all we want, 1 hour a day. You must control it. Don't allow anybody to steal it. Don't let anybody delete it. You protect it, and you actually accomplish it. And you're going to start seeing how everything starts to change. Your future is definitely waiting, and all you need to do is just focus on that one thing. I want to thank all of you. I did want to keep it fairly short. I know that at the end of these sessions, if I actually look at what I wanted to do, it would have gone on for about 25 minutes, and I would have had most of you going, oh, no, seriously. So I actually wanted to be very, very respectful of all your time. It's actually been an absolute honor and privilege to come up and be invited to speak to all of you guys today, and I want to thank you all again. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks again.